Iran has rejected as a political move the latest report by the UN nuclear watchdog, which claims the country's doubled the number of uranium enrichment centrifuges. Tehran believes the IAEA findings are aimed at overshadowing the non-aligned movement summit taking place there. For deeper insight into the story, we are now joined live by Mohammad Marandi. He's a professor at the University of Tehran. Saeed, thank you for joining us today. So, Tehran believes the report is just another element of psychological warfare waged against Iran. What do you make of the timing?
Well, that's what the Iranians are saying. They're saying that the timing is highly suspicious because the non-aligned movement conference in Tehran has been highly successful. Instead of the United States being isolated, or Iran being isolated, the United States has become isolated since it opposed senior figures going to Tehran, and many major world leaders have come to the country. In addition, the president of Egypt came to Iran, which is a political earthquake. So the Iranians are saying that this report came at a sensitive time to sort of distract attention away from this Iranian success. And also the report is misleading in many ways.
Well, we'll get to those ways in just a minute. I do want to point out that the report does state there are now more than 2,000 uranium enrichment centrifuges installed in Iran. Now, tell me, do they really need that many machines if they're simply used for peaceful purposes?
Yes, because the Iranians are producing uranium at enriched uranium at 20% for facilities in Tehran, which then produce medical isotopes. Roughly 800,000 to 900,000 people in Iran need this medicine. Many of them are cancer patients. And the fact that the United States and the Europeans tried to prevent Iran from obtaining the fuel in the past meant that they were taking the Iranian cancer patients hostage, which was, in the eyes of Iranians, inhuman. So the Iranians basically felt they were forced to produce their own uranium at 20%. The irony here is that the Iranians at the beginning had no intention whatsoever to produce uranium at 20% and then produce nuclear fuel. But the Americans and the Europeans, by, as I said, taking Iranian citizens and ill people hostage, forced the Iranians to take that step.
Now, we've seen a rise, and certainly a rise in Israel's aggressive rhetoric towards Tehran, while Washington has been very cautious when talking of a possible airstrike on the country. So if Israel does decide to attack Iran, do you think the U.S. will help?
Well, obviously any attack on Iran would not be in the interests of the United States or the Europeans, and it wouldn't be in the interests of the Israeli regime because it would be seen as an aggressor. It would create major harm to the global economic situation. The global economy is not doing well, and the countries will blame the Israeli regime for any deterioration of the global economy. There is a possibility that the Israelis will carry out an attack because they are not rational actors in the eyes of the Iranians. But an Iranian response would be very severe. And if the Americans try to intervene on behalf of Israel, then I believe that we will have a major conflict in the Persian Gulf region, and oil tankers, oil installations, gas installations, all these would most probably be destroyed. The Persian Gulf is a very small gulf, and the Iranians have very long borders, so the Iranians are quite prepared to defend themselves, and I think the Americans really know that.
All right. Well, thank you for your insight and analysis, Professor Mohammad Marandi from the University of Tehran.